Ladies and gents, hello and welcome. My name, of course, is Open Potato. His name is Rhapsody. We're back for some shelling and shocking live.
Ooh, bit more shocking at this point because it is shocker time.
That is shocking. There you go. Here's you know what's a really weird concept, right? To get your head around, or at least for me to get my head around, is that the concept of liveness, right?
Liveness, okay.
Yeah, nothing is truly live.
How do you figure?
Well, so what would you define live as?
Occurring at the time at which you experience it.
Interesting. So what counts as experiencing it?
Well, I guess it depends on the media. If you're listening to it, then listening. Like if it's musical, then listening. If it's audio visual, then both. Listening and watching.
See, part of the problem, right, is that it takes such a long time, figuratively speaking, of course, for our brain to process the signals of the outside world, that by the time that the moment where the thing has occurred, it's already passed, you know? So nothing is truly live.
So nothing is truly live because, you know, the speed of light
isn't fast enough for orbital potato. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. I'm sure you'll just find a way to make it faster sometime.
No. You see, that's not, like, I don't have an issue with, like,
oh,
like,
it sounds like you
stuff.
do.
I really don't.
I love that we can
just,
do
like,
nothing but, like, dunk on you right now. It's so good.
I know. Yeah, so I don't have an issue with, like, not... You're kidding me. I don't have an issue with, like, not liveness, but, you know, just, like, the definition of live, I feel is factually inaccurate.
Would you be comfortable with as close to live as could possibly be?
Yes, so...
Now, how about we abbreviate that to live?
No, you see, it's like when you go up to see a comedian, you know, you're like, oh, it's, who's a good comedian? Comedian.
Who have I seen recently, or who's a good comedian?
Just a comedian in general, just like someone
comedian.
that I can
Paul F. Tompkins
riff off, you know?
PF2.
Yeah. So Paul F. So you know, it's, you know, you go to a gig and you're like, oh, it's Paul F. Tompkins live, and it's like, it's not live though, is it? That's nonsense.
Well, it is.
It's
you know,
as live as can possibly be.
You have a fair argument only in that a recorded DVD of a performer should not be called, you know, such and such live, because
no,
it isn't.
I was thinking of going to the gig.
Yeah,
you know
no, then
I mean?
it is live.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you see, but it's not live. That's
yes,
the problem.
Is.
It's as close to live as can possibly be.
I don't think things take as long to process as you are making out that they do. And if they do specifically for you, then I'm sorry to hear it, bud.
That's not the point. The point is that, okay, let's assume.
Okay.
In fact, no, you know, it's not even assume. Let's do this, right? So, the moment that someone speaks, or the moment that, sorry, Paul, can I call him Paul? Is that?
Tompkins, Mr. Tompkins.
Okay,
Sir,
Mr. Tom.
Actually.
Sir Tompkins.
Yes.
The moment that Sir Tompkins, right,
yes.
opens his mouth and utters the first syllable of speech, right, is when that, like, moment starts, right? When the joke or the bits. That's incredible.
I figured it would do that. I was really glad.
Oh, that's incredible. So it starts, the joke starts then. Right? But by the time that you receive it, because the speed of sound is so slow, you know,
it's
you won't...
slow.
Yeah, comparative to what we're talking about here.
To what? Comparative to what?
Well, compared to how long it takes your brain to process the thing, right?
Do you think that you've only heard a joke when you get it?
No, but you see, you don't hear it. You don't actually start hearing the joke until the sound has traveled from his mouth, right? In fact, you could even argue that, like, the time between him thinking about speaking something and then by the time him actually speaking it, like, there's already a lag there, right? But, like, I'm just going to disregard that for the sake of simplicity.
No, don't disregard that. Please add that in.
Okay, great. Okay, so that just further reinforces come on,
Good
really?
goal.
That just further reinforces the point, so you've got that initial lag between, like, wanting to say something and actually saying something. Then you've got the lag between you've got the inter mouthful and throatal lag.
Yep.
You have between when
those are the
you
medical
think about-
terms, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
cool.
Interthroatal. That is a very, very technical term, I would hasten to add. But so you've got the interthroatal lag. So when your mouth is, like, starting to say it, right? So between the time, you know what I mean.
No, I do.
And then you've got time where it needs to travel through the air to the listener's earlobe, right?
Whoa, you're cutting out a bunch of steps here.
Okay, am I?
Stand-up
stand-up
performers usually use a microphone.
Oh,
it needs
that's
to
true.
go through the air to the microphone,
That's true.
through the microphone into an electrical signal, through the electrical signal, through the cables towards some sort of a, usually there's, like, some sort of a preamp involved. Got to get that preamp involved. Got to go back into another cable in a different electronic signal before it finally gets sent to a speaker. At which point the electrical signal needs to be translated into reverberations of the disc in the speaker, so that the audio signal, so the electrical signal becomes an audio signal in the air, and then that needs to get to the listener's ears. And sometimes that bounces off a wall first as well.
That's true. But
You
that's
know
not
what?
strictly
Adding
relevant.
all of these delays up, I'm surprised we hear anyone within 4 weeks of them actually saying it.
This is an issue that is actually really serious, and you're just completely disregarding it.
Oh, am I? I'm sorry.
You are. I've a serious issue. Okay, right. So I'll grant you all of that. That just further reinforces the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that it's not live, right? So you've got all of that. Then you've got, like, when it enters someone's ear, right? And then, most importantly, you've got the time that it takes the brain of the receiver to process the information into what it actually means, if that makes sense.
Oh,
Right?
okay. So it literally, the deciphering of the joke, or are you talking about?
No, not the deciphering. It's just, like, the understanding, right? Like, I'm not even talking about, like, the word understanding, the literal understanding. I'm just talking about, like, the brain interpreting those sound waves and making them, like.
So if someone doesn't understand Paul's accent, then they would have a longer time than the person sitting next to them?
No, I'm not even talking about that. I need to explain this better, right?
Yes, you do.
If I say something to you, then
I wish you wouldn't, but okay.
You obviously interpret it. You obviously interpret it in terms of, like, oh, Orbital is saying, like fluffy bananas or something, right? If I say fluffy bananas to you, right? You're like, oh, okay, I understand what fluffy bananas, or I understand the meaning, or I understand as close to the meaning as it should be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's fluffy bananas. However, there's, like, a step in there where your brain is like, what does this actually mean? And it's not, like, the literally definition of what fluffy bananas actually is or what it could be conceived as. It's just, like, the step in order to understand what it means or what it could mean. Does that make sense?
No.
I'm really trying.
I'm gonna go with
really
no on the does that make sense. The closest that I can get to making sense of what you're saying is that you hear the sounds, you hear and then go,
right?
okay, cool. What words does that make? How do I understand that?
Exactly.
Which would mean that if someone didn't understand Paul's Philadelphian accent, they would take a longer time to translate those phonemes into words.
I see what you're saying, but I'm not talking about like the word. I'm not talking about the. I sound like a crazy person, honestly.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I do. Um, I'm not talking about like the sort of human understanding of what the words mean. I'm talking about what the brain interprets the sounds to be.
Yes. So if someone took longer to interpret those sounds because they didn't understand someone's accent, would that make it different? Would that take longer? Does that mean that live means something different for that person?
I would argue yes.
Okay.
But actually,
I would say that is absurd.
Well, actually, I think that's a I think yes is perhaps a little bit of a quick answer there. However, it depends what you define where you define like the joke as being, right? I guess. Because you're talking about like, you know, the joke and
Oh no, I've gone past the joke. I'm now talking about words.
Okay, wait. So what are you saying?
What are you saying?
I'm saying that there is nothing that is live, right? Because by the time that person has already thought the joke, it doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't exist anymore?
Well, you know, like the word, like, because he's not, the joke doesn't exist, but the words don't exist. The thought doesn't exist because he's already moved on from it.
I have really bad news about simultaneity.
But that's not, like, nothing is simultaneous. That's part of the problem.
Yes. Okay.
It's not. Am I? What's wrong? What's wrong here? Have I explained something?
I'm gonna say almost everything. I'm gonna go with almost everything on that one.
But do you not understand, right? Like,
no, I understand your point. I think your point is absurd.
Well, how can there be anything that's live if nothing is live?
How can mirrors be real if our eyes aren't real? You're very Jaden Smith right now.
Silly argument.
That is a silly argument. Yes, I tend to agree.
That is a super silly argument. I am arguing on the basis of logic, and I would appreciate a little bit of understanding and perhaps sympathy. This is a plight that I've been fighting for many a year.
I am sympathetic to anyone else you proposed this argument to. There's my sympathy.
Look, how is this not understandable? Like, if you see
I
something,
understand
right?
it. I just don't think it's a thing.
How is it not a thing, though? How can it not be a thing?
There are a lot of things that aren't things.
But how is it not a thing? But it quite clearly, like, is a thing. It just is a thing. Like, it is. It's a thing. No.
Well done. So, we create words to describe things.
Yeah.
The closest that we can perceive to simultaneity is what we have groupingly decided the word live to mean.
Yeah.
To argue that nothing is live because nothing is simultaneous is to argue cross definitions. You are arguing effectively nothing is simultaneous, therefore nothing is live. That's not how we use the word live.
I feel that I agree, because I actually totally agree with you, right? In terms of like comedic context, like live is a I think that's a subjective term rather than a simultaneous term, as you've already agreed, as you've already pointed out. However, I think that using the whole idea of a comedy routine was just an example as to why the fact live doesn't necessarily exist for anyone, if that makes sense.
How would you describe having experienced something that is occurring as close to simultaneously as the viewers experiencing it, how would you describe that?
I would say it's as close to live as possible, or as close to the point of interpretation as possible.
What is the difference between that and just saying live? When
Well,
live is what we have agreed upon to mean that.
You see, I think you're missing the point here, right? You know?
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
There's a point?
The point is that nothing is live. Point is that nothing is live because we always perceive the event after it's happened. Even if we're seeing it, even if we're hearing it, it always takes longer to interpret. And the simple point is that I want to drive home through a hugely complicated overanalysis is that I thought it would be interesting to talk about how nothing is live, but it turns out that I was wrong and I apologize.
You know what?
I'm gonna take
the inverted argument. I'm gonna go absurd in the other direction. When thinking on a universal scale, we are the entire lifespan of humans has been naught but a blink of a fraction of a moment in the ridiculously long history of the planets, solar system, etc. Right? So I argue, in that reference frame, everything is live. Absolutely everything. No matter if it's pre-recorded and you're listening to it 45 years after the artist died.
But I feel that we're talking about different things here. Like, just sorry,
Yes!
not to dredge up, like, not to rehash already hashed ground. Like, we're
Yes.
talking like about different things.
We are, yes.
Just to clarify that.
Yeah. It's almost like I'm using my example as some sort of a point in order to describe the fact that we are talking about different scales, and to make reference to a human scale would be to concede that that is live. To make reference to an atomic scale would be to concede that it is not, because it is not simultaneous. And to take reference to a cosmic scale would be to concede that everything is live.
I would concede exactly the opposite and conclude that everything is meaningless.
Whoa, okay. I mean, like, if we're doing nihilism, we can do nihilism. Let me get a drink.
But I'll be honest, I don't like having discussions unless they're live.
Well, I've bad news for you, because I have to think up these words.
Man, that's... Alright, anyway, there you go.
For what it's
So
worth, I think your point that you were probably trying to lean towards is correct, which is that ShellShock Live is not live at all.
That was, believe it or not, that was originally what I started out with.
I assumed as much, yeah.
That's
I always like, there's a joke from Arj Barker's 2005 DVD, which is...
Oh, yeah. I love that one, actually. That's the best, That's the best Arj Barker's one, yeah.
Okay. It's the title of the show is Arj Barker Live, and he introduces the show as Arj Barker Live! It's just encouragement.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, so it is. I'm glad you agree.
We should introduce the next episode as ShellShock Live. It's just encouragement, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit of a rehash of a joke that's already been done, but I guess we could. Hey, 2 goals.
Wow. That was remarkable.
Thank you.
No. Oh. And I even created a little
Divot.
assistance pool for you. Disappointing. No, that was very well done, actually.
Thank you.
Oh, no. See, if that wasn't there. Back of the net.
Yeah. Horseshoes, hand grenades, etc.
Oh.
Oh, let's just get it out of this area. Jeez. I've scored 2 goals already this match.
Yeah, you scored more goals than I ever could.
Oh, don't get down on yourself. I mean, I agree, but, you know.
Oh, oh.
No. No.
Still thinking no? Oh.
No. Still thinking no, yeah.
Still thinking no.
Alright, see what we can get going on here.
Honestly, I'm just wondering what you're going to title the episode now. Orbital talks about insane things for 15 minutes.
We both know that's too long for YouTube.
Sorry. Yeah.
I'm probably gonna go with like period space. What? Question mark?
He said what? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark.
Oh my god,
no.
funny Fortnite moments.
Oh, great idea. Let's talk about let's talk about Fortnite, right? So we can use it in our tags, right?
Yes, finally. Here we go.
Great.
This is how we win the YouTube SEO game.
Have you played Fortnite?
No. End of discussion, I guess.
You know what? At least we've referenced it once, and therefore that's just the sneakiest goal of all time, and I resent you entirely for it.
Yeah, it's fair.
Ugh. Yeah, disgusting. Anyway, hopefully we can talk about Fortnite in the next episode as well, because holy heck, I want that sweet Fortnite.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Anyway, ladies and gents, thank you very, very much for watching. Mine, of course, has been Potato. His name's been Rhapsody. Link to Rhapsody's channel and a full link to the playlist of all of the stuff that we've done in the description down below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Adios.